Welcome to Investing in Comic Books. I'm Terry Hoknes. Today we are going to look at the pros and cons of investing in the comic book called Iron Fist, issue number 14, published in 1977 by Marvel Comics. It is the first appearance of Sabretooth, featuring John Byrne interior art and an Al Milgrom cover. And this comic was published in a 30-cent cover, regular edition, probably printed about 200,000 copies, and also a limited test run at a higher 35-cent cover price, and only 1,500 copies are likely to have been made of that book. A special rare variant cover, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Looking at the regular edition with 30-cent cover price, if we look at the CGC census, we'll see that as of September 2012, when I pulled this data, there was almost 1,800 copies graded in all conditions, but looking at 9.6 or better, the key high-grade investment copies, 285 copies. And you'll notice that had jumped up almost, 88 copies, in fact, in the 2.5-year period before that. So if that continues, we could see that in a year or two, as long as the copies keep surfacing, we're going to hit 300, 400 copies. So they're out there because this is a late 70s Marvel. By that time, comics were really being saved more and more. And actually, 1977, I consider one of the first years where people really stockpiled comics for long-term sale. And so a lot of high-grade copies kept. Heritage Auctions has sold 74 copies over the past decade. So that works out to about 6 copies a year. Not a lot, but consistent. Looking at the Overstreet Price Guide values for the past half decade, it currently has a value of $325 in top condition, graded near mint 9.2 out of a possible 10 for best condition. You'll notice that it's been roughly going up $25 standard every year, which is a nice, consistent growth for the book. We see that's also happened in the 9.0 as well. However, 8.0 and less, there has been resistance where the book has actually stalled in value, and in fact the 8 actually dropped a couple bucks. But generally speaking, all the low grades have been pretty well stalled for the last few years. So unless the near mint 9.2 starts to move up at faster pace, this is going to continue, and therefore already I can tell you, investing in an 8.0 or less of this book, I do not recommend. It's just not showing any growth that you could possibly make any money with it. Unless, of course, you can get a great deal at under guide from somebody selling it off quickly. But basically, off guide prices, there's just no movement to make money. And even the 9.0 and 9.2, neither really have a lot of movement. All the activity is going to be in the top grade conditions, 9.4 or better, which are truly the best copies. There's a lot of Bronze Age collectors who want to invest in the perfect copies, and therefore lots of 9.8s bringing way above guide. So let's look at some of Heritage Auctions' best sales over the past decade. The highest sale they've ever had for this book was a 9.8 in 2007, sold for $1,300. So at that time, it was worth $200, so that book sold for 6.5 times guide. That's a nice sale for a modern book. This is one of the most modern Marvels, in fact, to have such a high guide price, over $300, making it one of the most valuable Bronze Age comics, or comparable to any modern Marvel comic. Second best sale through Heritage was for another 9.8 just in 2011. And that copy sold for just over $1,000. Again, that was just a bit over 3 times guide. And if you look at Heritage sales, you'll see they've sold a lot of 9.8s. People definitely want them. They're willing to pay, triple guide in general. So lots of demand there, lots of value. But the question is, does it go up in value? Over time, as more and more 9.8s come on the market, you will find that the prices don't go up. They actually come down. So you got to really watch out for that. You can overpay. As I said, looking at the CGC census, there's 65 copies graded 9.8. And that number is likely going to go up. Again, this book is not that old. So in the sense that a lot of copies exist out there, a lot of people have saved this book. It is a major key issue of the 70s, and demand is going to stay there for sure, without a doubt. Sabretooth, part of the X-Men storyline, always popular. And this book, of course, approaching 40 years old, isn't going to get more common, but growth is going to continue. So, summing up, what do I think? Graded 8.0 or less, I give it a thumbs down for investing. 9 even is it goes up a little bit, but only if you're planning long term would I ever buy a 9. 9.2 or better, of course, is where the money is and the interest and people potentially paying above guide. So that's where your best gamble is on this book. So there's just my personal opinions on this book. Love to hear your opinions on that. If you'd like to learn about other books, I've covered over thousands of books from the Gold, Silver, and Bronze Ages in my book series called Investing in Comic Books. Over 200 books in this series that look at the entire history of comics and all genres. So check that out at our website, hawknescomics.com. If you'd like to see me cover a specific comic in this series, please email me at hawknes@hotmail.com. Thanks for watching.